Go. Yo, yo, what up? Welcome back to the Bump in the Night podcast with your host, the Boogeyman, Johnny Zuko, and my co host.
Ginger Snap.
And we're doing this via Skype because someone wanted a Friday off. So.
No, here's the deal. I wanted to do I wanted to record the podcast a little bit early because the topic we're discussing today, not gonna lie, kind of like was forgettable. So I wanted to do it sooner so I wouldn't forget like what I wanted to say. So that's why.
That's all it covers. She just wanted a Friday off. It's like, yes,
No.
I am not recording Friday anymore. Yes.
Oh God. No, I'm getting a new mattress tomorrow. So
See?
that's
See?
why.
Called it. Yeah. See? Selfish.
No.
So let's before we get into the movie, let's talk about this really quickly because I know me and you, we both feel the same way about theater etiquette. Like, people, please shut the fuck up during the movie. What the fuck is your problem?
Yeah, it's and I feel like it's always going to be an issue. Like, especially with no offense to you teenagers out there, if there's any teenagers listening to us, but I feel like every time I've gone, and it's especially horror movies. Like when you go to a comedy or drama, I feel like I don't have this same issue. Whereas when you go and watch a horror movie or a sci-fi or something that's supposed to shake you up and scare you a little bit, they just they're more loud. Like we get it. Like you can laugh at parts or like go ugh when it's a scary scene. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like so when Johnny and we went to go watch this movie that we're going to talk about today, last Friday, and in our row, out of all the rows, right, it had to be our freaking row. There was like a group of teenagers that were literally talking and whispering throughout this entire film.
Having a fucking conversation, you know what I mean? It's like, are you fucking serious, man? And you wonder.
It was distracting.
You know what? Like, and people are bitching, complaining, hey, ticket prices are raising. Yeah, this is probably why they're raising because they're tired of like having these people coming in and talking throughout the fucking movie.
And like they were told to shush like multiple times. You even shushed them.
Yeah, I kind of wish I just got up and just like, you know what, go get the usher and go tell, hey man, go do your fucking job and kick these fools out. Like seriously. But you know what? When you go to the theater, you go to watch the fucking movie. You don't go to actually have a conversation with the person next to you. You know? It's
this isn't a coffee shop, Like, do that in your own time, dude.
I know, like, why would you waste, like, fucking $12 just to have a conversation with your friend in the movie?
Another thing, too, that I freaking hate is when people open up their, or they get on their cell phones and that light reflects on you, and it's like you're watching a movie, so it's dark, and that cell phone light, or people that text in a movie theater, no, that hasn't, as kids we didn't have that because growing up in the 90s that wasn't an issue, but I feel like for today's generation, that's a huge problem.
It is, because people are always like, oh hey, they're always on their phones and it's like, hey, I got a notification, I got a new text message, blah blah blah. It's like, dude, can you just wait till the end of the movie? It's like, come on.
Unless it's an emergency, but shoot, it's really distracting. When you go to a concert now too, and the people in front of you are holding up their phones and recording the entire concert, but it's like they're there in person. Oh my god, it's so annoying and distracting.
Yeah, it's like the lighters got replaced with cell phones.
Yeah, I'd rather have a lighter because at least it's small.
I don't know, like with the horror movies, I get it, especially if you go into like a midnight movie. Like you expect to go with a crowd that's gonna be communal and like conversation and having fun with the movie because we're all there because we know what to expect,
Yeah, exactly, and that it makes it fun. That's totally different.
Yeah, I honestly feel like when you go to those midnight movies, that you're in on the joke. It's like when you go to the Rocky Horror movie or to The Room or Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street when you have people reciting the lines or laughing along or talking or just being around buckshits, they're having fun because everyone in that theater is already in on the joke,
Exactly.
But when you go to a new movie, and you're just fucking talking non-fucking stop. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you're not only alienating the people next to you, you're alienating everyone else in the theater. It's like there's.
It reminds me of was it Scary Movie that had it where the chick is talking and then they all like stab her?
Oh yeah, they're telling her shut the fuck up, and they all hit her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
That's like what I always think now. Like if that were to happen or something, it's just like, man, like you really want those people to die because they're being so annoying.
I might have to edit that one out.
Alright. I'm just kidding.
I know, but you know what?
Like, it's etiquette. It's like this isn't your house. This isn't your living room. Like you're with other people that pay to be there. Respect like your fellow audience members.
And the theaters are always complaining about like, oh, our attendance is dropping. This is one of the fucking reasons why it's dropping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are going to the movies and literally talking throughout. I remember when I went to go see what was it? Last Jedi. People just would not stop fucking talking. It's like, come on, dude, seriously?
Yeah, it's always like with remakes, I feel, though, that's when I really noticed it. When I saw the remake of Friday the 13th, it was bad. People were like...
I actually had a good crowd for that showing. I went opening night and actually had a very good crowd. And I went to one of the old theaters here in Watsonville, the Fox Theater. And I was very surprised that I got a good crowd because everyone was just like, they all shut the fuck up for the most part,
They should have a little like preview that says, "Please shut the fuck up while watching a movie."
Right, and turn off your fucking cell phones.
Yeah, those are like my two things, man. It actually ruins your experience while watching a film, and I think it affects like your opinion afterwards.
Yeah, it does, especially if the movie can't satisfy you. Like by the time you walk out, it's like, especially if the movie's already fucking like boring, then it definitely does not help.
Nope, and it just makes it go on and on and on.
Yeah, that's why I try to avoid going to like opening nights now, and I try to go during the middle of the week.
Yeah.
But like some movies, like I need to see opening day, just because that's just how I am.
Yeah.
So I can't help myself. So what am I gonna do about it? But that's our little tangent about theater etiquette. People just please show respect to the people in the theater. That's all we're asking. It's not a big deal. Just shh, please.
Yep. Yep.
And so the movie we're talking about the new Pet Sematary. Yeah. Look, I can already me and Elisa, we already disagree on this movie. I don't think it was that bad, and I don't think it's that bad as everyone else is saying. I don't know. I really did enjoy this movie, and I really, really loved that ending. I thought that ending was solid because that ending was just like, whoa, that was fucking cool.
We've had it settle, after watching it. We've had it digest and stuff. Okay, in all defense, I'm not saying this film was horrible at all. I actually don't think this was the worst remake I've ever seen, so I just want to clarify that. We'll get into we'll break it down and we're going to compare it to the original as well. So spoiler alerts, but I just, for me personally, I felt kind of unfulfilled and I felt a little bit bored. I thought it kind of dragged, especially after watching the remake, or I'm sorry, the original recently. I kind of felt like this one took a longer time compared to the original, and I just, I was sitting there and I just felt kind of bored a little bit.
Well, it's a lot of exposition during that first half because they have to set it up. And I think
for sure. I just kind of felt like that's going back to the beginning is why I wanted to do this episode earlier, is because I just kind of felt it was a little forgettable for me personally.
And the thing is that the movie does take a long time to get where it's going. By the time that second act happens, that's when everything starts going. But I felt like with the the original, there's really no setup. There's really only one scene that sets something up, and then the cat dies, and then that's the catalyst that sets everything else in motion.
Yeah. It was like boom, 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 everything. Everything kind of went pretty quick in the original, I think.
Yeah, it did actually, because I went back and watched the original that weekend, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, this is honestly, this is almost like a shot for shot remake it with certain scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost a shot for shot remake, and it's like, whoa. And I was thinking, you know what? I don't know. I do appreciate the twist with switching Gage and Ellie. I appreciate that a little bit more. And I think it works because, Ellie, was like 10, 9 years old. And so she
Mm-hmm.
has more of an understanding. And so she can talk more and she can just, be a little bit more menacing. But as our producer pointed out, she's like, she's not that good.
Well, what's interesting is so this new one, the remake, it's pretty not divided. A
Diverse?
lot of I'm trying to think of the word, but like a lot of people when they knew. So let me just straight off the bat, the trailer totally gave so much away. That I think like whoever makes trailers these days don't give so much in there. Like so for me personally, I feel like if I were to go see this and didn't know and still assumed that it was going to be Gage that died,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'm sitting in the audience and they flipped it, I feel like maybe, slightly maybe, I would have liked it a little bit better because it wasn't something I expected to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like the trailer, like, oh man, like there's so many ways they could have done that. Like instead of him saying hug your daughter, he could have said like hug your child. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's ways you could go around it, but I just feel like they really gave away too much. So that didn't bother me that they flipped it and had it be the daughter instead of Gage. I know with a lot of people that are like diehard book fans, that upset them a lot. That didn't really bother me personally. I can actually see why they did that because the relationship between the father and daughter was a lot closer. Like you said, she talks,
Mm-hmm.
she's got dialogue. Gage is really young, and I feel like the mom bonded more with Gage than Ellie, where the father really bonded with Ellie a lot.
You know, here's
So,
a So here's the thing: watching the original and watching the remake, the father actually has a very close bond with his daughter in both iterations, and the
yeah,
son not so much. But when in the original, when the son dies, it was like, oh my god, like he lost his son, And I
yeah,
pointed out is like, I pointed out to my lady and it's like, you know what, like if you think about it, like it's because he took his son for granted, and
yeah,
that's why like he was driven by madness to bring him back because he took him for granted when he was alive, unlike this one where he didn't take for granted Ellie, and they had a close-knit relationship, and it
right.
was when that happened, it devastated him, and he had, was like, I'm gonna bring my child back.
Yeah, because he loved her and he was so close to her.
Yeah, and it's like he can, and that whole scene when they talked about death, it's like, it feels like, the dad in the remake could talk to Ellie more about certain things, like flat
Yeah.
out. It's kind of like a matter of fact, and nothing's more telling than that scene when they were talking about death before the accident, like
Yeah,
about church.
one thing one thing I noticed about this one too, I feel like they talk about death more openly, and I feel like he questioned God more, and he questioned what happens in the afterlife if there is an afterlife. They really talk about it a lot in the new one, compared to the original. It wasn't touched upon as much,
Mm,
and I feel, especially with his wife, Rachel, he kind of is more supportive over her and her guilt over Zelda compared to the original one. I don't think it wasn't shown as much like comforting in the original. I think. when it came to talking about death.
No, I think this one dealt with grief kind of head on. You know, it dealt with grief, and I think that's how it kind of processed the wife and the husband, and how they're like how they both are dealing with grief and how they deal with it. Rachel and Dr. Creed already have that relationship, and Creed already knows about Zelda. As to the original, where he didn't know about her, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so I think that's why that relationship works, because he is trying to be supportive to everyone and trying to remain strong, but at the same time, it's like he can't feel anything and show that to them, because then it's like he's weak as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like story-wise, this one did deal with grief a lot better, or it showcased grief for sure, and it was more dark in that sense. Where I feel like in the original it wasn't. I don't know. I feel like this new one was more. I don't know how you felt. I feel like this new one was more serious than the original, and especially the characters in the new one, I feel like were way more serious, including Rachel. Like Rachel in this one was like tripping out every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and she like this new Rachel, she had such guilt for the death of her sister Zelda, where the original, like she hated her sister, like she wanted her sister to die.
Well, I think you kind of get that from Rachel too in the remake, but not as upfront. She's not upfront about it, you know. And I think what the problem is that they didn't know how they wanted to deal with that, and I felt like, you know, survivor's guilt is probably a good way to torture this character.
It's real. It's, I guess the word is like she feels really haunted in this new one. Like, you know, she keeps hearing sounds throughout the house. You know, she's kind of paranoid, I guess. Whereas the original wasn't as paranoid, and she just kind of had dreams about Zelda.
Yeah,
not when she was awake, like in this new one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like in the remake, it's really evident that she feels something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's evident that her and the kids really feel something in those woods. As to the original, where they really don't feel anything.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're more like kids in the original. These new ones, Ellie especially seems kind of more mature. You know, so I do think it's more. This one's more like adult. I don't know if that's the right word. Like it just feels more adult compared to the original. Like she, you know, just cared about her cat and, you know, is getting settled in. And then this new one, like it actually shows her character and her. Well, I guess because her arc is different than the original. But yeah, it felt to me very serious, very dark. I even like, especially with the characters like Judd, I feel like he was even serious in this, and he didn't have as much of a warmth to him compared to the original. What did you think?
Well, think about it like this: you have Fred Munster as your neighbor. I mean, there's a lot of warmth there already. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, especially with that accent. I mean, come on, how is that not, you know, comforting? John Lithgow. John Lithgow is motherfucking, you know, psycho. He was Kane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, I never see John Lithgow. Well, I guess so. In Harry, was it Harry and the Hendersons, where you played the dad in the Bigfoot, right?
Oh my god, I was just talking about that film the other day. How funny.
Yeah, that's John Lithgow, right? In that movie. Hello? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let me do that.
Okay.
My internet. That's the problem. As soon as I logged onto the internet, it started giving me a poor connection, so I can't use a Skype while I'm on the internet. So.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, John Lithgow. Ready?
Yeah. So just edit that part out.
Yeah.
I think so.
You think so? Okay. Well, my point is.
It's been been a while since I've seen it.
Okay, the point is that you don't see John Lithgow in that kind of role. That's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. But guess what, El? We have someone else that gave us. We're gonna introduce a new segment called Smoov On Movies with Smoov G, and he has a very interesting take on Pet Sematary, the remake. So I'm gonna play this for us. This is the first time either of us have heard it, and we're gonna go from there. So here is Smoov G with his take on Pet Sematary.
Let's talk about Pet Sematary 2019. There's not much to say. I can't name drop all the producers and directors and actors and stuff like that, but I went and saw that movie today with high expectations that of all the remixes that they do in this day and age, hashtag no one has an original concept, I thought I'd be excited about this, man. But the only thing excited I think about what I did with this movie is I bought the first matinee. So I spent $10 instead of $35,000, whatever they charge for the night movies. I was in my hometown theater, you know what I'm saying, where I felt really comfortable. And I didn't do too much research, coming up to this movie, but I was pretty excited because I own the original movie, Pet Sematary. Still to this day, one of the scariest mind-fucking this movie I've ever seen in my life, man. Something you don't want to really watch late night by yourself. I don't care how bad and big and bold you think you are. That's something, I have a few movies in my collection that do that, but this is one of them, you know what I'm saying? Probably not good for a first date night, take your girl to see, the original, because you probably, like me, gonna end up single. So I went into this theater with the high hopes of getting my large popcorn with no butter. They got me on that. They got me. Cool. Got my large Diet Coke, you know what I'm saying? Do my thing. A couple of the characters in the cast I recognized, but the others I didn't. But I was trying to, through the whole movie, I'm trying to circulate in my mind if I know them or not. So, kind of it kind of veered my vision from the movie, but as I'm listening to it, I'm like, the writing, I'm like, it was all right, but I'm like, I don't know. So the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm comparing it to the original. I have the original in my head. I've seen the original 500 times, and I'm like comparing it, seeing what they changed, seeing what they, not changed or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's good, okay, so the little baby, spoiler alerts, by the way, spoiler alerts if you ain't seen none of them, but I ain't really tripping, because you ain't seen none of them, and you listening to this right now, you don't watch horror movies, and you look a little scaredy baby, so I don't care. They switch it up, so the little boy didn't get killed. It's the older daughter that got killed, but in the original, it's a little boy that got killed. No, anyways, they kept the same concept with the big ass fucking diesel trucks running down the road, 5,000 miles an hour and shit. And they did that, and the Churchill the cat, he was the staple. He was there. He was the whole catalyst of the whole events that happened in this movie. Which is also reversed from the original too, which was kind of cool. And I was ready to go with it, you know what I'm saying? And then they had the older sister that had a spinal bifida. It was a lot scarier than the original. This one, they kind of phoned this one in, how the older sister died in a backflash or whatever they call it, or a flashback. Sorry, backflash. Yeah. Anyways, and I was willing to roll with that because I figured they wouldn't go back into it because they didn't show it very long. And I'm like, okay, cool, all right. But then, as the movie went on, And then they started getting back into the formula of the original one, how, blah, 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 went to the fucking cemetery, came back to life, blah, blah. But then, in the original, there was no conversations or no intelligence of it. But this one, they made the motherfucker come back from the dead, just talk and try to explain things and try to rationale things, which don't make no damn sense to me. That don't make no damn sense. And the thing is the spoiler alert again, the daughter coming back, tussling with the dad when the dad was trying to put her back down in the ground. When he bit her on her wrist and she screaming in pain, she dead. She ain't supposed to feel that shit. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, one of my eyelids started getting all heavy and shit because I was tired already. So one of my eyelids started shutting. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then sequences went by, they were kind of like they were like tracing the original, but not really, quite. They're trying to like, I don't know. I thought it was a little numbed down. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a little numbed down, a little Novocaine in the shit. And then what really did it for me at the end was the very end of the movie. The sequence at the end of the movie, I didn't wait for the after credits. I didn't need to know after credits. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. All in all, this movie 1 to 10, I probably say it was like a 6. You know what I'm saying? The jump scares, there wasn't too many of them, but the ones that did, they were totally predictable. The cast, it was 50-50. I don't know. I'm just saying, I got the original. I'm going to go to bed to that tonight and probably have a nightmare. But, I mean, I got to give a plus for them, though, you know what I'm saying? Because it's, we in the new millennial world. So, Pascal, spoiler alert again, the victim in the very first movie that got hit on his bike and died at the end, they made him a black dude instead of a white dude this time, which was, that was like when my plus meter started going up. I'm like, oh shit, okay, they gonna make a brother, but of course he was the first nigga to die and the first nigga, the first and the worst. And we'll get into that whole situation later on in life. But yeah, so 1 to 10, Pet Sematary Remake is a 6. Take out 2 F words in the movie, that movie would have been PG-13, and I rate it right above the remix of Poltergeist. And if y'all seen the remix of Poltergeist, you know what I'm talking about. Jay-Z, I love you, brother. I got you. That's my shit.
That was Smoov G with Smooth Takes. So, what did you think about his take?
I mean, everything he said, I agree with him in a nutshell. Like, a lot of people amped this as like one of the best remakes. Like, Stephen King's greatest novel is now getting the version it deserves. And I know because I'm always let down a lot with movies these days. So I went in expecting to be entertained, but not to be like in love with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, like it just. Like I said earlier, it just kind of was boring. It wasn't he was just saying the pop outs, those were really, you knew they were coming. Nothing really like made me drop my jaw. The one thing I will say that I actually did really like in this movie a lot more than the original was the freaking cat, Church. I thought he was like the breakout star in this film. They showed him a lot. He had such a cool look. They made him like really mangy looking. Once he comes back from the dead, he's such an instigator in this one. He's a little dick, and he's exactly what you expect when you read about Church the cat in the novel. So I thought he was the best thing in this whole entire movie. And I especially love the scene where the daughter is like combing him. And she can't because he's all matted up and nasty. Yeah. And then he attacks her, and he's just such a little dick. When I was watching that, I was like, oh, I have 2 cats. I have to deal with that every day. So I really did like him. I thought he was the best in this whole movie. The one thing I do wish that they did show in this Remember in the original when Lewis is taking a bath and the cat drops like a dead mouse in his bathtub?
Yeah.
That was great. Like I was like, oh, that's so nasty. I wish they had that scene in this, but yeah, I don't know. Like the cat was the breakout star to me. I also did like the children walking with the masks on. I thought that was really cool. The one thing that kind of upset me though was the CGI, and I know that bothered a lot of the people in this. The CGI, it was kind of bad, to be honest.
You know, it's funny because I pointed out after the fact, like after we dropped you off, I pointed out, I was like, you know what? Because my lady, she was saying, yeah, it looked really bad, it looked really cheap for like a big budget movie. I was like, yeah, I know, because when they were walking toward to the burial site, it looked like it was out of a Hammer film because you could totally tell that was a soundstage.
I know.
It was like, whoa, like seriously?
Like, you know, in the original, you could tell it was a set, but at least they didn't, like, overly do it. You know what I mean? Like,
blatant, though. You could totally tell. You know, you could totally tell that sky was, like, you know, the roof, and then those trees were painted on. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, at least try a little bit harder there. But that kind of took me out of the movie, because every time you went back to that same set, and I was like, oh, man, this does not look good.
You're talking about the new one, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the new one. When John Lithgow and Jason Clarke are burying the cat the first time around.
Yeah.
And then you see them in this, and he tells them, oh, that's the Wendigo or whatever, and then you look in the background, you can totally tell that it's all fake.
Yeah. That really took me out. I wish they just did it in a forest. Like, they had the budget to get a freaking permit to shoot in a forest.
Yeah, you probably get lost, though.
Yeah, I don't know, just that really took me out. And one thing I noticed, too, is how every time they go in there, it's nighttime. And when you look at the original, like, he's going there in the daytime. Even when he, like, goes to bury church, they're walking in the day. You know, it takes him all day to bury him and set that up, which does show night. But same thing when he goes and digs up Gage, it's like the day to night. Where this one they really focus in on nighttime, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Yeah, you know, to me, like the remake and the original. Oh wait, before we get to that, come on, get on your soapbox and let's talk about Zelda.
Okay.
I know you've been waiting. Come on, because he even said it too. Smoov G even said, you know, Zelda was a disappointment, and the way they handled her was not very good.
What a freaking disappointment. Okay, so back to like me talking about the trailer. When they first showed Zelda in the remake trailer, I was like, "Oh, that looks cool. Like her back looks all crazy. She's crawling. You know, smart choice not to show the face, like, because I thought I was gonna see the face and that I was gonna see her doing really like disjointed, creepy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. No, what a letdown! Like the only thing you really get out of Zelda is the wife Rachel being more haunted by it and like the sounds. So in this version, they have Zelda getting killed with a dumbwaiter. So she like falls in the dumbwaiter and dies, whereas the original she like chokes to death, which is really gross after Rachel feeds her.
It's
that's like
so
creepy. Much more personal.
Yeah.
This one, she's like in a dumbwaiter. I'll admit, when you first see Zelda fall in that dumbwaiter, that was cool. Like I know that they were gonna show more of her, but you know, to see her in the dumbwaiter, I thought, okay, that's a cool choice. But then you barely see her; you just hear her. Like the wife is home and she hears sounds. She's like looking upstairs, you know, looking like, okay, where is she? So I don't know. To me, Zelda in this one was more sound, and then when you do see her, it's kind of like the wife becomes her, right? Wasn't that like what happened? Like the wife becomes her and gets like her body.
Yeah, she had the nightmare where she flipped.
Yeah,
and it's like whoa.
That's it. Like that's all that they show. They don't actually really get or show Zelda. I was so disappointed because you know me, like I even talked about it on one of our other podcasts, what scared us as kids, and Zelda freaking still does. she freaking scares me. And like they could have done so much, especially with today's technology, like, and special effects. They could have done so much with this character, and they just didn't. They missed the boat on this one. I'm sorry. Like, I was so disappointed with that.
Yeah, Zelda was a character that scared me as a kid too. I remember watching that scene when Rachel goes and finds Judd's body, and then Zelda runs up to Rachel's like, "Never get
Ew.
out of bed."
Yeah. Yeah.
That scared me too. This one she's not much. She is a symbolic presence, not a physical presence, and
Yeah.
I understand what they were trying to go with it and trying to play on her guilt, on her survivor's guilt. I understood where they were going with it, but there's a couple of scenes in the trailer that didn't even make the movie. So there's more Zelda.
I was gonna ask you about that because the trailer shows one scene where Rachel's in a hallway and Zelda's crawling. I don't think they showed that.
No, that scene was not in there.
Like, why?
Time? I don't know. It's like they had to cut this film really short, and so you know what? Those scenes are gonna be on the DVD and stuff, but at the same time, it's like I hate when trailers do that too, and they put scenes in there to mislead you, and then when you go in expecting to see that scene, you don't see it. It's like, seriously. That's why I went. That's why I went to the theater, because I wanted to see that sequence. I wanted to see what led up to that part.
Me too, and I was like, wait, because I was thinking about that after you guys dropped him off. I'm like, wait, they didn't, like, what, did I miss it? Like, was I falling asleep? Like, I didn't see that scene, you know? But yeah, like, they didn't really do much with her voice either, and, like, going back to the original Zelda, when she's, like, running up and she's like, I'll get you, or when she's like, Rachel, like, that shit is scary, and they didn't have that in this one.
I know I'm in like the minority of the group, because I know when we saw this with a group of people, and almost everyone fucking hated this movie. Almost everyone. I think I was the only one that actually kind of thought it was actually decent. I don't think it was a bad remake. I don't think I appreciate the fact that the directors try to put their own spin, and make this into their own voice. So it's kind of personal to them as well. So I appreciate what they did with it. As far as the first half of the movie, it's all set up, but then when you get to that second half, it all comes crumbling down. And then I honestly feel that ending is a very satisfying payoff. I think that is a great payoff, and I really liked it. I thought that was very creepy, and I thought that was like, yeah, man, they're gonna be a family forever now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is one thing I would say that also. Besides Church the Cat, that stood out to me was the ending, because it's like there's no hope. Like, so spoiler alert: Gage is left behind in a car because of all the chaos that's going on, and Lewis gets killed by the wife who's dead because the daughter killed the mom, and then the mom got buried and became dead, the undead, and then she kills Lewis Creed, and then he becomes undead, and it's actually a great shot. I mean, they show Gage by himself in the car, and then in front he looks, and it's the whole undead family with Church, and then I like when they have Church jump on the hood of the car.
Yeah, that was fucking great. I thought that was really, really great. Did you hear about Stephen King's his pitch for the original ending to this movie?
No, it wasn't.
So, his original pitch, because he saw this movie before, and he absolutely, adored it. Thought, oh, this is a really cool movie. But my pitch for the ending was to have Gage wander, like he gets out of the car somehow, and he starts wandering out to the road where the Arco trucks go, right?
Oh.
And then the truck is coming to him, and he's gonna run him over. And then all of a sudden, a hand comes out of nowhere, pulls Gage off the road, and it's another woman. It's someone that just happened to be passing by, and she says, "Where's your family?" And he lifts his arm out and points, and it ends.
I kind of like the car ending still better.
Yeah, but the other one was like more subtle, so like it's more of it is a bleak ending because there's still no hope, and plus you
Yeah.
don't know how close the family is to that person, so it can be left up to interpretation. But I do like the ending that they went with, and I thought it worked for the movie that we were shown.
One thing I thought was interesting, and I was listening to someone else talk about it, was how, because in the original, Rachel leaves Ellie behind at her parents' house
Mm-hmm.
when she goes to find out like what's going on. This one, she doesn't leave. Well, so the roles are reversed. She doesn't leave Gage behind. She brings him. It's like, if you thought there was danger, wouldn't you want to leave your child with your parents to watch them, and then you
it
go
wasn't.
discover what's going on?
It wasn't danger. It was more of concern, and so it was like she went out of like a concerned wife, and so like I need to take the baby with me, and then go
Yeah,
figure it
just
out. She didn't
I
know the
thought that was interesting
circumstances.
though.
Yeah, but she didn't know the circumstance. She thought like, he might be feeling bad or feeling really depressed, and so her thinking is like, I'll bring the baby along, and maybe that'll cheer him up too. So I kind of get where she was, where her mindset was.
Well, but then to be fair, in the original, you had way more Victor kind of guiding her, and warning her. And then in this one, I'm sorry, Victor was also a freaking disappointment because he was barely in it.
He was in one fucking scene. What
One
the
scene. And I
fuck?
remember you were giving me shit because you're like, no, I guarantee like they have the same amount of screen time, and I'm like, no, watch the original because Victor's in the original way more.
No, no. I do remember saying that, but my point was is I don't think Pascal was in the movie as much. But then watching the original, like he's in there for maybe about a good 10 minutes of screen time.
And he's more of a guider, I feel, in the original. He's literally like their guardian angel watching them, and like remember when Rachel is trying to get home and he's like at the airport, he's in the rental, and then he was just in it way more, I feel.
To me, I never got that. I never like when I was younger and I saw that. Like, I never understood what was happening there. But then, like watching it as an adult, I was like, oh, he's helping her. Like
Yeah.
and that's kind of interesting to think because like when you're a kid and you see Pascal and you see him dead and his brain's hanging out, like you think he's an evil ghost, but in reality, he's really a good spirit. He's trying to do something. But the irony is that it's his words that drive Lewis to fucking do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Like I feel
And then
he does.
and then
I don't
Judd does
know.
the same thing too, by showing him. So it's like, well, I honestly feel if Pascal didn't say anything, but then again, if Pascal didn't say anything, Judd would have taken him up there regardless.
Yeah,
So
and both films too don't show. Because in the book, I know Judd's wife is still alive, and Lewis, she's sick or something. It's been a long time since I read it, but Lewis kind of helps her out, and Judd is the one actually that introduces him to Pet Cemetery and kind of does it as a favor because he feels bad.
yeah.
So that's why. So I thought it was interesting. Both films didn't show that, but
Another thing too is another thing that kind of bugged me about this movie is toward the end when Ellie transforms into Judd's wife.
yeah.
And so there's something there that she says that's kind of ominous. It's like, well, did Judd kill his wife?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Because the way she says something in there, and it makes me think that Judd killed his wife.
No, he's a good guy. I don't remember him doing that. Like
Yeah,
in
but
the
I'm saying,
book.
but in the movie, like if you watch that sequence again and pay attention to Ellie's dialogue when she's Norma, she's saying some things there that's like, whoa, like, okay, did Judd do something? Is Judd really not all that good? Is he really kind of a bad guy underneath?
Interesting. I didn't. Do you remember what she said or no?
She was saying that, what you did to me, now I'm in hell, now I'm gonna do something to you so you can feel how I felt. in my later years, something along those lines. But if I can find that actual dialogue, I'll send it to you.
Okay, interesting.
But
I didn't catch that. I thought
because
she was just being like menacing.
no, because there was some meaning behind it, and the way that Judd was selling the dialogue was kind of made me think, oh shit, like does Judd have secrets? It's interesting to me, you know. And so,
Yeah.
to me, that kind of adds like an extra layer to Judd in this movie. It's like, well, Judd might not be such a good guy after all.
I mean, I got that vibe. Like I said, he just seemed kind of more cold and dark, whereas like Fred Munster was kind of like the friendly neighbor, and like he knew secrets, but he just had more of a warmth to him compared to John Lithgow. I don't know.
And then also, also Judd in the original says outright to Lewis, says, "Hey, no, I didn't bring anyone back, but I knew someone who brought someone back. What
Yeah.
if in this one Judd had brought back his wife,
Yeah.
and maybe that was why she said that?
That could be it. Yeah, maybe that's like a scene that got deleted, maybe, or because you know how in the original there was a lot of flashbacks when Judd was going over like the stories, like the boy
Yeah.
that got brought back to life, and then
The dog.
there's a lot of flashbacks regarding those stories. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they have that as a scene. I don't know.
To me that's just interesting. It's like, whoa, man, like kind of again drop the ball, like you have like a good subplot, but yet you're trying to focus on everything else. And I understand that you have 90 minutes for a movie, so you gotta pick and choose what you gotta put in the movie. But I feel like you can't introduce certain things and then leave it up to the imagination.
Yeah, I agree with
Like
you
the
on
kids
that.
too. Like the kids, I wanted to know more about the kids in that ritual.
Yeah, like they should have shown that more, or like kind of like maybe had Ellie watch the whole thing, or I don't know. Like those kids
Or
were cool. I
Ellie
wanted
become
more of them.
friends with him, or
Yeah.
like or like the kids that Ellie goes trick or treating with are those two the kids part of that circle? Also,
Right.
there's
They kind
another
of didn't really show that.
yeah, and also there's another sequence in the trailer where they're standing in the pet cemetery at night, all four of those kids in the mask.
And I'm like, that was just the daytime in the movie version.
And also, where did she get the mask?
Maybe the kid. Well, because in the original, don't they leave things on the tombstones?
Well, no, in the original they leave their collars or something memorable, like memorabilia for the
Mm-hmm.
pets. In the remake, I noticed what they would do is that they would put like mask and put them on the grave. So
Yeah,
like the mask of the
that's where she
dog.
got it probably.
Yeah, maybe that could probably be it. There you go. We answered the big mystery.
What did you think? I mean, we haven't really talked about comparing like the Ellies or the Gages. What did you? I know a lot of people hate the original Ellie. They thought she's like the most annoying kid ever. What's your take on the two Ellies?
Okay, so I watched the original and I don't know. I don't think the Ellie in the original is annoying as everyone thinks. I think she's annoying because that's just the way we picture her. Like her voice sounds annoying, but she as a character is not annoying. She's a normal 9-year-old kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and little kids can be really annoying because they always ask questions like, why?
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is that it's just her voice, and I think that's why everyone's annoyed. Is like, ah, shut up, you know. As far as the remake, I think Ellie was a little bit smarter and more mature for her age, and I think that was probably because of her upbringing and because of who her parents are. They're both scholars, you know what I mean? They're both someone that are professionals, and so they're actually trying to show Ellie, look, man, they're trying to bring Ellie up so she can be a better person.
Yeah.
So she's not even a kid in this movie if you really think about it.
She's not. I noticed that. It was like watching like a little 20-year-old woman or something.
It's like she's 9, she's 8, but yet she has these questions about death and what's in the afterlife. And then again, like that whole sequence, it's like Rachel is trying to sugarcoat it while Lewis is saying, no, there's nothing there. So just stop.
Yeah.
Uh, I know a lot of people are split on the new Ellie. Some say she's a really bad actress, and the others saying, "Oh, she's really great." I think she's okay. Again, she's a kid. You know what I mean? Like you not all kids are gonna fucking nail it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she didn't really bother me in this. One part I actually really liked her acting, and I don't know if it was CGI, because sometimes they do that. So when she's undead and she's got her little like outfit on and she's dancing, like she's doing her ballet thing, and she starts whacking into stuff. I thought that was really cool, and I wished like they did more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Also, Lewis has more time with the dead person too in this one than he did in the original.
Yeah,
He actually
he had
he
more
actually
time
shares. He actually has screen time with them. Unlike the original, he buries Gage and then he never sees him until toward like the end of the movie.
when he kills him. Yeah. And that's another thing too. In the original, I feel like the families were always separating. Because you could also, to play on that, in the original, you could tell there was a thing with Lewis and Rachel's father. They didn't get along. Like that was really prominent in the original. So they were always kind of separating. Like around Thanksgiving, she takes Ellie and Gage to her parents' house, and then she leaves them again after Gage dies. So I feel like the family was very separated in the first one, whereas this one they only went away once, and he had more time with everybody.
And then they came right around too. They came right back around. I actually like this one because the family is actually together and they actually suffer as a family as opposed as them suffering individually in the original.
Man, that original scene though, when it's Gage's funeral, and then like the dad starts fighting with Lewis, and the casket falls over, and it's like all dramatic.
It is so TV like. Oh my god. I watched that movie and I was thinking, man, this looks like it was shot on TV, like for TV, like a TV movie.
Yeah, it totally has that feel. So overall, like, what were your? Did you prefer this one over the original, or are you just kind of like indifferent?
I would have to say I would prefer. To me, they're both on equal ground. I know it's kind of a cop out answer.
That's a cop out. Come on.
I think I rated the original a little bit higher though, by half a star, and I think the only reason was because I felt like you understood more of Pascal's motivations of what he was trying to do and trying to say. And unlike the original, unlike the remake, the remake, you don't understand. He only shows up maybe twice.
Yeah,
and that's
like
it.
I forgot because you barely see him, and he was kind of hard to understand. Or I don't know if the volume in the theater was too low, but I could like barely understand what he was saying.
He was talking like this. That's what he was talking like. So yeah, he was kind of hard to understand. But to me, they also introduced the Wendigo in the remake, which is like a demonic spirit. But yet they don't touch on it in the remake at all, and they completely dismiss it in the original. When, like the Wendigo is supposed to be like this evil spirit, like Pennywise, like it, like he's the reason this whole family is suffering, and they don't really touch on that. They introduce it, and you see it, but yet they don't expand on it. You know what I mean?
I'm wondering if like they actually shot more about the Wendigo but cut it.
It could be. When you adapt a book, you have to pick and choose what you could do because you have to streamline the story. You can't just set up stories and then come back to it later. It's not a TV show, it's a movie. Like you got 2 hours, you need to streamline your storyline.
Yeah.
But I think I would prefer the original. Maybe just probably because of nostalgia, I'll just be real. But I really do like that ending. I do like that second half to the remake, and I think that second half was worth it. You could say what you want or whatever. And I know our producer will totally disagree with me, and I know you disagree. But I really do think that second half was really worth it. And I thought, oh man, that was fucking cool. Because that was such a realist ending that I did not see coming. I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. You know, and I may troll my friends and say, oh, it's garbage. But, you know, in reality, I did enjoy it. I did like it. I just don't like that first half.
Yeah, to me, I think like the second. I mean, I didn't love. Like, to be fair, like I said earlier, I don't think this was the worst remake I've ever seen. I think it's, just kind of like a mediocre, whatever remake. I don't think it was horrible, but I definitely agree with you. I think the second act, that's when things start going, and that's when it gets really dark and grotesque, and there's a lot more depth to the second act compared to the first. Where I actually didn't know how they were going to end this one, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah, that ending was really good, and it was kind of like a sucker punch, you know? And I remember a lot of people walked out of the theater pissed off.
Do you know what they were showing after the credits? Were they showing something?
No, George, well, Smoov G is referencing is that, you know, it's like the whole Marvel thing, you know? It's like, I'm not going to sit through the credits and wait for it. So he's referencing Marvel right there. That's what he's doing.
Okay, because I think in the original, didn't they have like a Ramones video or something after the credits?
Oh, yeah, I think they did. But I think that was only on the tape, though.
Okay, because the Ramones, like in the original, when the truck driver is driving, he's listening to Sheena is a Punk Rocker, which is by the Ramones.
Yeah, no, they, I think that was on for the VHS, and I don't think it's on the DVD, though. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Did you notice that the truck driver in this one, when he's texting on his phone or doing whatever on his phone, it says Sheena?
Oh, that's who he was texting?
Yeah, and I thought that was funny because it's like an homage to Sheena as a punk rocker.
That's funny. I didn't catch that. That's pretty funny.
But yeah, I mean, like for me personally, I gotta go with the original. It's not even the original in itself. It's not the greatest movie. I still like it. Similar to you, it's a nostalgia factor, and just because Zelda really scared me as a kid, so that had like an impact on me, and also just the concept of this. It's so morbid, and it's such a heavy story. It's really depressing when you think about it. So, yeah, I don't know. The original to me stood out more, and especially Victor. Victor actually scared me as a kid as well, because when I first saw it, like you, I was like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Like, he's really scary looking. Like, what's going on? So, just like those two characters alone had more of an impact, and then also seeing Gage, like, such a cute child, and then to see him so menacing and to look like that, and like to stab Fred Munster and like in the ankle, I was like, whoa. So I don't know, like just all of those scenes really left an impact on me, where this one, it didn't leave as much of an impact except for Church the Cat. Like that to me like would be the reason to go see this film, is because of Church.
I love that cat. Cat's dope.
He has his own Instagram.
Yeah, did you see him at the premiere? He was at the premiere with the directors, and he was wearing a little tie.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm like, so cute. And I heard he was like such a diva on set.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's got to have his wet food.
Right? He needs his wet food, his treats, needs to be combed every 48 seconds.
So he doesn't get matted, man. That's why. I heard it was played by two cats. Is that true, or is it just one?
Yeah, it's two.
It's two,
it's,
okay.
Theo, I think his name. Is that his real?
Leo, yeah. Leo the cat. That's his Instagram.
Yeah. So cute. He's just so, yeah, go to his Instagram. It's, Church, a.k.a. Leo.
Church, okay. So, that's what it is, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So adorable. He looks like my cat.
Yeah, he does, actually. It does look like Pepper. Just like, But Church is like a little bit more furrier though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our episode. Pet Sematary. We'd like to say a big shout out to Smoov G for giving 5 minutes of his time and giving his review of the movie. As for us, we're pretty much indifferent on the movie. We like it for different reasons, but at the same time, it's an average remake. Well, in my opinion, it's an average remake. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, pretty average.
But that's about it. Next week we have, I think it's next week. What's next week? The 19th, right?
Next week we have another special guest. Hopefully that's safe to say.
Yeah, right. Knock on wood.
Right.
All right. Well, that's it. That's our review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Till then, stay scary.
Stay scary.
Bye.
Bye.